will now be recorded.
The council meeting of June 15th, 2021 will now please come to order. Due to this meeting being a virtual meeting, council is asking if anyone who would like to address council who is participating through the computer, please use the chat feature now to let Clerk Massarolo know you have a comment, and you will be called on during the comment portion of the meeting. If you are calling on a phone or do not have access to the chat feature, we will give directions during the public comment portion of our meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mrs. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Broussard.
Present.
Mr. Glassburn.
Here.
Ms. Heeman.
Here.
Mr. Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Limpert.
Present.
Mr. Schuman. Ms. Williamson.
Here. If there are no additions or corrections, the council meeting minutes of June 1st, 2021 are approved as written. The following legislation will be considered for suspension of the rules this evening. On second reading, Resolution 2021-40, and on first reading, Ordinance 2021-45. Mayor Kennedy, do you have a report this evening?
Madam President, I do. City offices will be closed to observe Independence Day, Monday, July 5th. And the rec center has been busy with summer programming, summer camp, baseball, softball, swim team, swim lessons, summer skating are now in full swing. We are also working on Summer in the City events, which kicked off the last 2 weeks with yoga and the West Side Flea. We are meeting with the swim and skate groups to prepare for fall and are starting to work on our fall programming plans and schedule. And Dominion Energy Ohio is planning several major gas line replacement projects in North Olmsted starting this month. More than 8,000 linear feet of pipeline along Dover Center Road will be replaced beginning in late June. Starting in mid-July, about 2,800 linear feet of pipeline along Mastic Road will be replaced, resulting in a temporary road closure to through traffic. Impacting property owners are being contacted directly by Dominion with further instruction and information. And one number that jumped off the page when I saw the Springvale numbers is golf year to date is 435,000. Last year, which was a record year, we had a slow start last year, but it was 258,000. And golf projected for the year at this point would be 250,000. So it's good to see people out golfing and getting out and about. So, Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Law Director Garreau, do you have a report this evening?
Thank you, Madam President. Just at your request during caucus about an update on the situation involving the dog bite cases on and around Clegg Road with the original owner of Amanda Ramos. Is the individual who we had a disposition hearing on last week. It was last week, 2 weeks ago, to make a determination as to what to do with the dogs. So with respect to her 3 dogs, there was an initial order issued by the hearing officer, in this case, Ms. Kopfer, as designated safety director, to have those dogs turned over to the city of North Olmsted. That order was subsequently ignored. There was as you saw, the hearing that took place. Some of you may have seen the hearing that took place. There was some television coverage of it. It was and this was, I know we discussed this at the committee meeting, I think last week, but it was a unfortunate event because of the conduct of Ms. Ramos. So a subsequent order was issued by Ms. Kopfer that those dogs, 3 of the dogs, would be pursuant to her authority. They would be humanely put down. So with respect to those 3 dogs, that was a completed order as of last week. However, we learned that there were at least one of the animals was owned by an additional party, that would be the mother of Ms. Ramos. A subsequent hearing took place on the fourth dog yesterday. There has not been a disposition order, as I recall, as of this point, because they're still within a time frame to issue that. However, I believe I recall that there was an order to surrender that dog as well. And Director Copper's raising her hand on that. She's, as you know, very involved in this. So the appeal period is running on the first order, and the second order has yet to be made, but there's an interim order that Director Copper can deal with, if you don't mind, Madam President.
Thank you. Director Kopfer?
The determination letter of the result of the hearing was sent out today. I believe all of council was also sent the letter for the fourth dog who was owned, Ms. Ramos Martinez said was owned by her sister Jessica, and there was some documentation that supported that. And so we served notice to get the dogs and have them that dog turned over, and also to be humanely destroyed. The fifth dog, there is not a determination as to who owns the dog. So the assistant law director who is handling the case in the law department is working on attempting to get the name and address of that fifth owner, as that dog was told by Ms. Ramos Martinez she was just watching that dog and that it was not hers or her sister's. So that's where we're at.
Thank you. Director Grove. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, Madam President. I see Councilwoman Heeman had her hand raised.
Councilwoman, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. Clarification only, Mr. Director Groh. So the dogs are where now? Okay, I understand that there's an order pending and that it has an appeal period for their euthanization, but do we know where they are? And then we expect they will be delivered to us after the appeal. Where are they?
Madam President, if I may.
Director.
We are monitoring. Well, we know where they're not. They're not at the address of 2811 Clegg Road. That house is being monitored regularly by Animal Control and also by the Division of Police. I spoke to Chief of Police Bob Wagner, and they're continuing to survey the house on a daily basis to ensure that the dogs are not there. She appears to have left the city to take the dogs somewhere else, as she indicated, I think, at the hearing she was going to do, although she then indicated she wasn't going to tell where they were. But at this point, there's one other update I wanted to give you. So the answer to your question is I don't know where they are right now, but I know where they're not, and they're not at the house where she was keeping them. Is the status of where that is, and we're going to monitor that. And if they are there, and we can make an effort to get them, we'll get them. I know that there was an additional charge filed. There's been some discussion about state charges versus city charges. The charge was being filed against her for the animal at large under the state code for the situation failure to control the dog, animal at large for the police officer that was bitten. So obviously any subsequent charges in another community would elevate to a higher class of crime than simply a minor misdemeanor $150 fine. So that took place. Ms. Ramos is also eligible to be charged if she does not submit the dogs pursuant to the order, is also eligible to be charged with a first-degree misdemeanor, which we will file. The other option we're looking at is whether we would proceed with some sort of a civil action in common pleas, which has jurisdiction over the entire county. If she's in Lakewood, where I think somebody indicated she might be, then we would also be able to exercise authority over her. We have to find her first and get service upon her is, of course, the important part. But it certainly is a priority to, one, ensure that the dogs are not at this location causing a threat to the residents, and two, to ensure that the orders are followed. So at least at this point, that's where things stand. When we can identify the owner of the fifth dog, I thought it was her mother, but when we identify the owner of the fifth dog, then we'll proceed with another disposition hearing once we get service, and then we'll go ahead and make an order from there. But that's where things stand as of now, as far as we're concerned. And I know Mr. O'Malley continues to work on that and work with Director Kopfer as well.
Thank you.
And Madam President, other than saying I hope you all have a safe summer break, and we'll see you in a few weeks. So take care, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Finance Director Kopfer, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, I do, Madam President. Today, the April month-end detailed and summary financial statements were emailed to Council and the administration. Two things I want to make note of. Again, I want to remind everyone that the timing difference of due dates for municipal income tax between 2021, which was May 17th, and 2020, which was July 15th, when you're comparing year to years, it may indicate a trend that doesn't exist. Additionally, on the expenditure side, 2021 through April has 9 payrolls expended, while 2020 only had 8 payrolls expended, which impacts the expenditure comparison between years, but also the month-end and fund balances comparisons. So I just wanted to make sure you're aware of that as you're reviewing those. And I hope you enjoy your time off. I know we all need to get charged up, and look forward to seeing you all in person in August. Have a good one.
Thank you. Moving into Council Committee reports, Councilman Brassard, Chairman of the Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do, Madam President. Thank you. The Public Safety, Health, and Welfare Committee met on June 8th, 2021, beginning at 7:01 p.m. Present were all of Council, including committee members Brassard, Williamson, and Limpert, Council President Jones, Mayor Kennedy, Law Director Grow, and guests. The main topic of discussion that evening was the recent string of dog attacks on humans that took place on and near 2811 Clegg Road between the dates of May 13th to May 17th, 2021. Much of the discussion centered on attempting to bring clarity to the city administration's handling of the attacks, as well as chain of command, if you will, that was put into place by the administration. The overriding sentiment among the majority who had questions or concerns was, one, the current whereabouts of the dogs, and nobody could really say with any certainty as to their current whereabouts at that time. And then the other overriding sentiment seemed to be, why did the city allow these 5 dogs to be returned to the owner or possibly owners after the first attack, when they had the option of immediate removal from the dwelling? And we also attempted to clarify the relationship between our animal control officer and his shared services with our city and his primary employer, Bay Village. Moving on, we also discussed 3 liquor license applications, the first of which was permit number 1124-012-0025, which is a transfer from CEC Entertainment Incorporated, DBA Chuck E. Cheese's, located at 26104 Great Northern Shopping Center. That would transfer to CEC Entertainment LLC, also DBA Chuck E. Cheese's, located at the same address. There was no objection by the police department. So at this time, I'll move to not object to liquor license number 1124-012-0025 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to not object to liquor permit 1124-012-0025 made by Councilman Brassard, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brassard,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Ms. Seaman,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0.
Thank you. Moving on to the second of 3 liquor license applications was permit number 0790591, also a transfer from Suet Chun Shek, which is DBA Fusing Restaurant, located at 25102 Brook Park Road, Suite 130, North Olmsted, Ohio, 44070. That would transfer to Lee's Seafood Boil, North Olmsted LLC, DBA Lee's Seafood Boil, located at 23462 Lorraine Road, North Olmsted, Ohio, 44070. Again, no objection by the police department. So at this time, we'll make a motion to not object to liquor license 0790591 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to not object to liquor permit number 0790591 made by Councilman Broussard, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Seaman.
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0.
Thank you, Madam President. And the third and final liquor permit considered that evening is a new permit application, permit number 6315483 for Nails-Aholic LLC, DBA Nails-Aholic, at 5082 Great Northern Plaza South, North Olmsted, Ohio, 44070. In keeping with the theme, there was no objection by the police department. So at this time, we'll make a motion to not object to liquor license number 6315483 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to not object to liquor permit number 6315483 made by Councilman Broussard, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Ms. Seaman,
Yes.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn.
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0.
Thank you, Madam President. So the Public Safety, Health and Welfare Committee meeting of June 8th concluded at 8:16 p.m. and that will conclude my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Williamson, Chairwoman of the Building, Zoning, and Development Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do, Madam President. Thank you. The Building, Zoning, and Development Committee met this evening at 7:01 p.m. Present were committee members Williamson and Limpert, Council President Jones, Council members Broussard, Glassburn, Heeman, and Kelly, the Mayor, Law Director, Planning Director, Finance Director, and Human Resources Director, and the applicant was present as well. On the agenda was CMS 21-18287 Weber Automotive located at 28820 Lorraine Road. The property is currently zoned B3 General Business. The building will provide climate-controlled storage and a space to service older and collector cars. There will be no body work and no painting in the building, and there will be no customer traffic in the building. Vehicle repair establishments are conditional use and improvements must meet the specific conditional use standards for vehicle repair. All are met with the exception of the building setback from a residential district. 75 feet is required and 30 feet is shown. The BZBA granted 2 variances for side yard setback. A new 6-foot high wood fence is proposed along the east property line. The existing trash enclosure will be removed and a new enclosure constructed. Underground stormwater management is proposed north of the building. New landscaping is proposed in the required buffer zone. The Planning and Design Commission waived the landscape irrigation requirement. The applicant proposes new building mounted fixtures as well as 2 light poles, 1 new and 1 relocated. The committee voted to recommend approval of the conditional use permit for a vehicle repair facility, waiving the requirement of a 75-foot building setback from residential property conditioned upon no body work or painting take place in or around the building, as well as approval of a development plan subject to the conditions of the Planning and Design Commission. And that vote passed 2-0. So, Madam President, at this time, I would like to make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for a vehicle repair facility for CMS 21-1827 Weber Automotive located at 28820 Lorraine Road, waiving the requirement of a 75-foot building setback from residential property conditioned upon no body work or painting take place in the building, in or around the building. And ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to approve the conditional use permit for CMS 21-18287 made by Councilwoman Williamson, seconded by Councilman Limpert. Roll call, please.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Ms. Seaman,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Mr. Broussard.
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion now to approve the development plan for CMS 21-18287 Weber Automotive located at 28820 Lorraine Road, subject to the conditions of the Planning and Design Commission. And I ask for a second. Anyone?
Second. Sorry, that's mute stuck. Thank you, Madam President.
Motion to approve the development plan for CMS 21-18287 made by Councilwoman Williamson, seconded by Councilman Limpert. Roll call, please.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Ms. Seaman,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0.
The meeting concluded at 7:10 p.m. and that.
Thank you. Councilman Broussard, Vice Chairman of the Finance Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do, Madam President. Thank you. The Finance Committee met this evening, June 15th, 2021, beginning at 7:11 p.m. Present were committee members Broussard and Kelly, as well as Council President Jones, Council members Heeman, Limpert, Glassburn, and Williamson, Mayor Kennedy, Directors Gallo, Garreau, Kopfer, and Lieber, and guests. We met to discuss Resolution 2021-40, known as the Alternative Tax Budget for 2022. This is a resolution adopting the alternative tax budget of the City of North Olmsted for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2022, and submitting the same to the Cuyahoga County Fiscal Officer and its Budget Commission and declaring an emergency. So as we explained during the meeting, this is something we do each year at this time, as it needs to be passed by July 15th. The alternative tax budget is required by the county in order to show the county the ability to levy property tax, as well as to ensure that debt service is met and covered. After a brief explanation by Director Kopfer, there were no questions or concerns. Motion was made by myself to approve to all council, seconded by Councilman Kelly, passed by a vote of 2-0. The meeting concluded at 7:15 p.m. and that will conclude my report.
Thank you. Councilman Limpert, Chairman of the Streets and Transportation Committee, do you have a report this evening?
No report for streets this evening, Madam President, but if I could, I'd like to just give a quick update on landmarks.
Yes.
Thank you. So the landmarks committee met on June 14th, and one of the items on the agenda was the desire to move forward with seeking a designation of landmark in the city of North Olmsted for Springvale. So if anybody has any historic photos or information that they would want to add to expound on our report, they can send those to the Office of Planning Director, and appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Heeman, Chairwoman of the Environmental Control Committee, do you have a report tonight?
I do not. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilman Glassburn, Chairman of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, I do, Madam Chair. Thank you. Intergovernmental Relations met this evening, June 15th at 7:16 p.m. Present were committee members Glassburn and Heeman, Council President Jones, Council members Broussard, Kelly, Limpert, and Williamson, the mayor, the directors of law, finance, HR, planning, and guests. The subject was Ordinance 2021-21, the new electronic meeting code section. We reviewed the changes that were discussed at our previous meeting that were incorporated into a draft by the law department. Everyone found the draft to be acceptable with one typo, and everyone was grateful for the law department's efforts in this and for everyone's contributions to the final product. The item was recommended with the changes 2-0 to council, and the meeting closed at 7:19. And so at this time, I would move to amend 2021-21 with the changes from the law department and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to amend 2021-21 made by Councilman Glassburn, seconded by Councilwoman Heeman. Roll call, please.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Mr. Limpert?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Broussard?
Yes.
2021-21 has been amended with a vote of 6-0.
Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilman Kelly, Chairman of the Recreation, Public Parks, and Buildings Committee, do you have a report this evening?
I do, Madam President. Thank you. The Recreation, Public Parks, and Buildings Committee met on June 8th at 8:16 p.m. Present were committee members Kelly, Heeman, and Broussard, Council President Jones, the rest of council, mayor, law director, HR director, recreation director Betty Drensky, and guests. We looked at two resolutions, the first being 2021-41, a resolution authorizing the mayor to renew the contract between the city and Carrie Skull Tipton, North Olmsted Gymnastics Incorporated, for the provision of professional gymnastics instruction services at the North Olmsted Recreation Center for 1 year. Betsy Drensky let us know that gymnastics have been held in North Olmsted for 20 plus years, that Carrie Skull Tipton owns the equipment that she uses. The costs for her using the space at the rec center were discussed with the mayor and law director. Start date would be October 1st of 2021. And this would be can't read my writing here. It would be from $3,500 a monthly fee, and if the program fees exceed $60,000, then the increase would be $5,000. And then the Ms. Heeman asked about gymnastics versus basketball in the space that gymnastics is being held. And the mayor stated that gymnastics is very popular, so they're happy with gymnastics being in that space. This was recommended to all of council and a vote of 3-0 to move it on. Next, we discussed 2021-42, which is an ordinance dispensing with requirements of North Olmsted Codified Ordinance Section 1101 entitled City Contracts Involving the Receipt of Funds, and authorizing the mayor to enter a contract with Cleveland Ice Storm Skating Club to provide concession services at the Recreation Center. Recreation Director Drensky said that the city at one time tried to run concessions at the rec center. It just wasn't worth it. And Cleveland Ice Storm Skate Club is willing to do the concession stand. It would be for a 9-month period and would pay the city $125 per month. This was recommended to full council and it passed 3-0. Both of these ended at 8:29 p.m. and that ends my report.
Thank you. Are there any letters or communications to come before council at this time?
Yes, Madam President. Joseph Keys, who resides at 3226 West 230th Street, emailed council regarding Little Clegg Park. He said the crosswalk to the park is unsafe. He said cars ignore the flashing lights and has requested a plainclothes police officer to be posted there to stop people from violating the law. He also requested a traffic light at this location. Mr. Keys also said the playground needs to be updated. His email was forwarded to all of council and will be attached to the meeting minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to our guests for joining our meeting tonight. At this time, council will hear comments from the public. Please remember to state your full name and your address for our clerk. If you live in a city other than North Olmsted, please state the name of that city. We will start with those who have notified us via the chat feature who would like to comment. Please unmute your phone and start your comment when prompted. Clerk Massarolo, has anyone notified you that they would like to comment this evening?
No, Madam President.
Thank you. At this time, if there's anyone on the computer or phone who would like to comment, please address council now. Thank you. Seeing no comments from our audience, we will now move into legislation.
Legislation on third reading. Resolution 2021-34, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a software as a service, SaaS, agreement with Tyler Technologies to provide cloud-based hosting and related computer services and declaring an emergency as amended.
Madam President,
Councilman Broussard.
I move to adopt Resolution 2021-34 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt resolution 2021-34 made by Councilman Broussard, seconded by Councilman Kelly. Roll call, please.
Mr. Broussard?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Limpert?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Ms. Heeman?
Yes.
Ms. Williamson? Ms. Williamson?
Yes. Is it happening again?
Resolution 2021-34 has been adopted with a vote of 6-0.
Resolution 2021-38, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution authorizing the city engineer to advertise for bids for the award of a contract to provide construction services for the Elm Road Rehabilitation Project as detailed in the specifications on file in the Division of Engineering, and authorizing the mayor, following approval by the Board of Control, to enter into a contract for the same with the lowest and best bidder.
Madam President,
Councilman Limpert,
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-38 and ask for a second.
Second.
motion to adopt Resolution 2021-38 made by Councilman Limpert, seconded by Councilman Kelly. Roll call, please.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Ms. Seaman.
Yes.
Resolution 2021-38 has been adopted with a vote of 6-0.
Legislation on second reading. 2021-21, introduced by Council President Jones. An ordinance creating new section 109.09 entitled Electronic Meetings of Chapter 109 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Olmsted, entitled Public Meetings, in order to establish procedures for the use of electronic meeting format for public meetings of municipal bodies as amended. Resolution 2021-40, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution adopting the alternative tax budget of the City of North Olmsted for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2022, and submitting the same to the Cuyahoga County Fiscal Officer and its Budget Commission and declaring an emergency.
Madam President,
Councilman Broussard,
I move to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings as this was discussed during committee this evening. It's an issue of timing, and I'll ask for a second.
Second.
motion to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings made by Councilman Broussard, seconded by Councilman Kelly. Roll call, please.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Seaman, Ms. Seaman, is that a yes? I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. Okay. Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn?
Yes.
Mr. Limpert?
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to address council regarding Resolution 2021-40, please do so now.
Seeing and hearing none, Madam President, I'll move to adopt Resolution 2021-40 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt Resolution 2021-40 made by Councilman Broussard, seconded by Councilman Kelly. Roll call, please.
Mr. Broussard?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn? Sorry, Mr. Glassburn, was that a yes? I didn't hear you. Is that a? I guess that is a yes. Ms. Williamson?
Yes.
Ms. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Limpert?
Yes.
Resolution 2021-40 has been adopted with a vote of 6-0.
Resolution 2021-41, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. A resolution authorizing the mayor to renew the contract between the city and Carrie Skull Tipton, North Olmsted Gymnastics, Inc. for the provision of professional gymnastics instruction services at the North Olmsted Recreation Center for one year. Ordinance 2021-42, introduced by Mayor Kennedy. An ordinance dispensing with the requirements of the North Olmsted Codified Ordinance, Section 111.01, entitled City Contracts Involving the Receipt of Funds, and authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Cleveland Ice Storm Skating Club provide concession services at the Recreation Center. Legislation on first reading. Ordinance 2021-45. An ordinance revising the codified ordinances by adopting current replacement pages and declaring an emergency.
On behalf of myself and all of council, I introduce, place on first reading, and request suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings and formal committee review.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor by Councilman Glassburn. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion to suspend the rule requiring 3 readings and formal committee review made by Councilman Glassburn, seconded by Councilwoman Heeman. Roll call, please.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Ms. Seaman,
Yes.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly.
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to address council regarding ordinance 2021-45, please do so now.
Madam President,
Councilman Glassburn.
seeing and hearing none, I would move to adopt 2021-45 and ask for a second.
Second.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2021-45 made by Councilman Glassburn, seconded by Councilwoman Heeman. Roll call, please.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Ms. Seaman,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Limpert.
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-45 is adopted with a vote of 6-0. Is there a motion on the floor to excuse the absence of Councilman Schuman from tonight's meeting?
So moved.
So-
Second. Second.
Have a motion on the floor to excuse the absence of Councilman Schuman, made by Councilman Limpert, seconded by Councilwoman Williamson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Broussard,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Seaman,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn.
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0. This is a reminder that barring any need for a special council meeting in July, council will next meet on Tuesday, August 3rd, and the plan is to meet in person in city council chambers. Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn into executive session to discuss the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee and to consider the purchase of property for public purposes?
Madam
So moved.
President. Second.
I have that motion was made by Councilwoman Williamson and seconded by Councilman Limpert. Roll call, please.
Ms. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Limpert,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly,
Yes.
Ms. Seaman,
Yes.
Mr. Glassburn,
Yes.
Mr. Broussard.
Yes.
That motion passes with a vote of 6-0. Council will now move into executive session at 8:45 p.m. I ask council to please log off of this meeting and follow the instructions sent to join the executive session. I will wait up to 5 minutes to give everyone a chance to get logged in. If you have any issues logging in, please reach out to our clerk so that he can notify me. Once the executive session has ended, council will return and continue the rest of this meeting.
This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you, Chuck. Executive session is adjourned and the regular council meeting is resuming at 9:26 p.m. I'd like the record to reflect that Councilman Glassburn did not participate in or attend the discussion related to the purchase of property for public purposes. With the agenda being completed and there being no further business to come before council, this meeting of June 15th, 2021 is adjourned at 8:26 p.m.
Madam President, do we need to mention Councilman Schuman not being there?
You know what, Councilman Lippert, he was excused from the meeting tonight on the record, so we're good. We have that on the record.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.